of Courage Asia. And yes, this is the lunchtime chat with Jucelyn, my co-host, and she is the author of Standing Tall, Overcoming All. Hi, Jucelyn. Yeah,
Hi.
it's like
Good afternoon.
it's
High
a mirror
five,
image.
Lillian.
Hi, hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Right, good to see you back at the online. And being, how's your week? Has it been a busy and fruitful one?
Yes, it has been. Yes.
Ah,
Thanks.
okay. Yeah. So what is that one thing, that one fun thing that happened this week?
What is one
Any?
fun thing that happened this week?
Yes.
I think it is the excitement of more or less, I'm really gearing up for the book to be out soon. We are almost there
Yes.
and we'll be probably
Yes.
going to be sending for print soon. So, yeah, for those
Yes.
who have sent in your pre orders, thank you so much for your support. And I'll be contacting you soon, okay, once the book is out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anytime now. It's going to the printer.
that's right.
This is so exciting. Right. And yeah, if you are wondering, yeah, Jucelyn is the author of this book, Standing Tall,
Overcoming all.
Overcoming All. Yes. And it is ready for pre-order. So go to jucelynong.com to get your copy before it runs out.
Yeah, thank you for your support because the first 35 copies of the book would also be going to the Safe Place, which is my beneficiary. And currently, we are also having a fundraising event. And the proceeds of which half of it that's collected is a Sword for Courage. You can read more about it from Class Living Facebook page, A Woman of Courage, to find out how you can support us in this initiative. Yeah, so thank you very much for those who have
Yes.
warmly supported.
Yeah, so just want to do that shout out first. Yeah, so it's a very meaningful initiative. And today, what are we going to talk about?
Today we're going to talk about something that is very, very important and fundamental, I feel, in relationships, friendships, business partnerships. It cuts across all spectrums, and it is about trust.
Wow, the
Yeah.
big word, trust.
Trust.
Yeah. So there's this question that we always like to ask, during our workshop, right? About it's related to personality. So are you someone who, you have to build up your trust, or because you build up your trust, so from you add points to that trust bank, or you're someone who trusts at first, and then you slowly deduct points, deduct as trust is being broken. Yeah.
I think at different stages of my life, that answer would probably be different. Yeah. So I think I am generally I tend to trust people quite easily. Yeah, because for me, when I'm, how I relate to people is how I treat you or what I say is what I mean. So I tend to have that belief system, especially in the past, that if that's the way I operate, then people would do likewise. So I tend to trust. Then I realized that that trust was given a little bit too freely. There was no basis for that. And then when I realized that the trust is broken, then I tend to, like you said, minus the brownie points, right? Like the bank, the withdrawal system. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So I realized that, over time, I tend to be maybe slightly more cautious and not that I don't trust people. I think it's important because if you always have this reservation about trust and you're always, so skeptical, you might project a different vibe as well, to people. Yeah, because when you're too cautious or you keep building walls, it's very difficult to build authentic relationships. But having said that, to give trust where trust deserves to be given, it's okay to take time, to observe if the person deserves more. And then that's when even like sharing your deepest, innermost feelings, right? You need to be comfortable. And then when you know that a person is trustworthy, you share a little bit more. Then you start depositing more and more money in your bank account to build it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all learn and we grow and we learn from our experiences and grow in wisdom as well. I used to be an extreme. I just trust anyone, and they're like very much like you.
Yeah, I think we're quite similar. Yeah.
Yeah, but that has got me into many heartaches, heartbreaks, and disappointment. So over time, I learned to be more guarded and be more cautious, but not. I wouldn't swing to the extreme where okay, I totally don't trust. Yeah, I mean that part of me is still very natural to trust first, to give the person the benefit of the doubt, and yeah, but I've learned to hold the horses. No, not everybody you just trust 100%. There must be some form of getting to know each other first. Don't just jump into the water, and then start drowning, and then realize there's shark.
That's right. Yeah. So you're right. I agree with you, right? So I think basically before we move on, maybe I'd like to define what trust is first. I think basically
Yes.
trust is it's like a belief in the reliability, belief in the strength, belief in for example, in somebody or something. So it's the firm belief in the strength, the reliability in somebody or something. So, for example, why some companies actually spend years on their marketing to build up trust. So when you hear that name, you go, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy that product because I know it's reliable." Yeah. So I think that is what trust is, and you can't make or force somebody to give you their trust. Very much like respect, I believe that it has to be earned. And it's a choice. It's a choice that somebody chooses to give to you. And therefore, it is so precious. Right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It takes time as well to actually establish and build that trust, that bond of that bond and that relationship between two persons. Yeah, like I said, if going back to my younger self, where I just just trust anybody, and then getting hurt, getting discouraged, getting all that negative experience, it can actually sabotage myself. Yeah, as I in the area of my relationship, if I didn't deal with it with proper guidance, yeah, and how we reflect, especially the reflecting from the experiences, because it takes two to connect. It both parties contribute to that relationship, whether that trust is broken or not. It must be something that both parties has done. Be it communication, not communicating clearly, right? Yeah. So misunderstanding, different interpretation, yeah, and or at different state, emotional or mental state, when you are having that conversation, can also affect the trust. Yeah. So there's so many different variables, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's why today we're discussing on this. And trust, right, to keep it at a healthy level, just like a bank account, to keep it at a healthy level, depositing money and maintaining the balance. You drop below $2, then you get penalized, right? If you know what I mean. Yeah. And actually breaking trust, because trust needs to be built up over time. So breaking trust, it's also as simple as, for example, you make promises easily and you don't honor it. It erodes the trust in the mutual relationship. And that's why in my book, I, ordered the book and you'll see there were 8 steps of how you can build relationship, or rather protect and guard the trust that has been built. It's one thing to build, it's another thing to maintain and protect. Or even like constant manipulating and lying, it would also erode the trust. And over time, before you know it, right, it's just like the constant chipping. If you have been to the, to some of the wonders of the world where you see beautiful geographical structures, and over time, if the waves just hit them, the 12 apostles become 11 apostles and 10 apostles. And don't underestimate the power of constant eroding. And that's why I believe that this is an important topic that needs to be addressed if you're looking towards building fulfilling and relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I may illustrate, right? You see this a piece of paper, right? And I liken this to, when you break someone's trust, it is likened to crumpling this piece of paper. Okay. And I can smoothen it. I can try to smoothen it, iron it out. Okay, but you see, it will never be the same again.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a visual reminder of why it's so important that, breaking someone's trust actually leaves some permanent consequences to the relationship. I see this paper, no matter how I iron it, there will always be the crease. They'll be there to remind me of what happened, right? Yeah.
Right. And on that, I think thanks for that analogy, that demonstration. And I think I want to also add on to that, and that remember the Kintsugi,
yes,
the Kintsugi art.
Yes.
Yeah. So on a positive note, yes, when trust is broken, we can try to put it back and all that, and we will leave all the scars and the broken lines and all that, and the cracks, right? Yeah. But referring to the Kintsugi art, it is such a beautiful masterpiece after that, right?
Yeah, it's a Japanese art form, right?
Yes. So I also want to encourage our audience out there that it is not all doom, because you can rebuild the trust, you can mend back that relationship, and the relationship after that can be even more beautiful and even stronger and precious than what happens, earlier. So again, it goes back to how we deal with it, right?
Yes.
Like if you just now the crush paper, if that's just if we stop there, then it's not going to be a happy ending, right? Yeah. But if we do something about it, like the Kintsugi art,
take the effort, iron it out, right?
And you can even like color it, just color it and put in the effort to mend the relationship.
That's
and that
right.
piece of paper can become an art piece, right? An artwork, a beautiful masterpiece after that. Yeah. So liken it back to the relationship, same thing. If you put in the effort to mend that relationship, even though trust is broken, but if we make that effort to mend it, the future outcome of it can be as beautiful or even more beautiful than before. Yeah.
Totally agree and resonate with that. That's why there's a chapter in my book, which is, the chapter is titled Broken Trust. Is it the end or is it just a roadblock? That is precisely what I was talking about. And in that chapter are 2 case studies of a broken trust, which is actually in terms of a marriage where there was trust that was broken, and and feelings were hurt, like third party was involved, but 2 different responses. So if you were to ask me, is it a roadblock or is it the end? I will say both are correct. Both answers are possible. It really depends on the parties involved, because the situation and circumstances is always different. But at the end of the day, do you want to save that marriage or not? And also, it is really important that the both parties work together after that. If it's just one party trying to salvage it, I'll tell you, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Wow. I think that's a lot to take in.
Yeah. So I just want to share, like, when trust is broken, if you are on the receiving end, I think, acknowledging the feelings that you're going through is important. Definitely there will be hurt. Definitely there will be sense of betrayal, or even yourself questioning where you went wrong, or is there a part you played. And that is a very important first step.
Right.
And to let the other person know how this is affecting you.
Are you able to, is it okay to share some of the steps that, maybe like the first few steps from your book? What can you do to actually mend the trust? When trust is broken, what are some of the steps that you can actually take? Some practical steps? Yeah.
Okay, so there is two, right? The one on the receiving end, and also if you were the one who broke trust. I think it's very important how whether the Kinzuki art can even come about, or the crumpled paper being smoother, really depends on the two of you, the actions of both parties. So if you are on the receiving end, I know it hurts, and it is really one of the highest form of betrayal, and it's very difficult to come to terms with it. So be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time to let it sink in. And I think what's important, the next step, is actually to communicate with your partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you communicate about?
Okay, like if it's a case of broken trust, where let's say there was a third party in the relationship, or you found out that he or she was lying to you about a lot of things in the relationship, is to, I think, have a frank conversation with this person, with the other party, and explain how it is affecting you, how much it's hurting you. Give the other person a chance to explain his or her stand. But very often, what I find actually rub salt into the wound sometimes and make the healing process a bit harder is when the other person starts to justify why he or she did that. And there's no apology.
I think first thing first is both parties must decide to make a decision that they want to mend this.
That's
right.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that is like the fundamental. Yeah, both parties has to come to that agreement that, okay, look, a trust is broken, but
the relationship means something to us, and we are going to work on it, right?
Yeah. So then, whatever needs to happen can take place. Otherwise, if one party is reluctant and then the other party is all out to salvage it, it's not going to work.
Yes, right. I can attest to it, because if one party is willing to salvage and is working very hard to salvage it and suggest, for example, let's go see a counselor, a marriage counselor, and the other party says, for example, I don't think there's any issue with me. Please go and see a counselor or psychiatrist if you can't get over it, and go solve it yourself. It's pretty much your problem. You can imagine sometimes the response might be even more hurting than the actual event, because here you have just given the other party an impression that this relationship is not important to you, or worse, I think it's your problem. No big deal, right? Why can't you get over it and let's move on? But you know what? I'm not seeing a counselor with you. So it's very.
Yeah, I think with that kind of response, you don't need an expert or someone very wise to know that it's not going to work out.
Yes. In fact, I think that is a red flag in itself. You see, sometimes when trust is broken, it could be a one-off where trust is broken. Or, when you find out that somebody didn't tell you the truth, because sometimes, like white lies, you want to protect a family member who, maybe you're finding a right time to inform the person, for example, that, you have a certain medical condition, or, those are easier to resolve. But we're talking about if it's a repeated action of not telling the truth, or of outward lying, or repeated action, then I think it's a red flag in itself.
Yeah.
That this relationship, hang on a minute, is it something that is worth savaging, or is something fundamentally wrong already? Because if you're in a healthy relationship, for example, if you were the one who broke trust, I will believe that, and that person means a lot to you, and that relationship means a lot to you. You don't even need that person to ask you to be more accountable. You would.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so important to you, and you're afraid of losing it. So these are the steps that if you were the one who broke trust, to actually expect or be ready to maybe be more accountable, to be more transparent about your actions and your behaviors moving on. Yeah, you don't need a counselor to tell you that in order to rebuild trust, because trust is broken, you need to build it back. So that person, your partner, might be asking you a little bit more about, could you share with me where you're going?
They're just trying to get some assurance, right? Because,
yes, to build it back.
You need to put in more effort in giving that assurance.
That's right. Yeah. So if you're the person who has broken the trust, you don't need to actually wait for the other person to ask you or to be assured. You should be taking the steps to assure that person, communicating more with that person, assuring that.
Taking that initiative.
Yes, that's right. I think it means
proactive.
a lot. Yeah, it means a lot to the person on the receiving end, rather than to have to I come and ask you, can you share with me, or can I check your phone? Because that is not exactly the most healthy way, right? But when it comes across more like from your own initiative, it speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So is it possible to share one more step?
Okay. So besides the person who, if you are the one who broke trust, besides taking that first steps to rebuild it, I think another way would be to moving forward, right? Especially in relationships, I really think it's helpful to see someone together, a neutral party, like a counselor.
Okay.
If you need to put it back into perspective, because sometimes I've had people ask me before, like, so if someone broke trust and the person is asking me to share the explicit details of what happened, should I or should I not?
Yeah. So how do you answer that?
Okay, this one really depends. But actually, if you see, some therapists would say, try to do it in an environment where there's a third party, because the details can be very painful to hear. But yet the other person might say, but I just want to hear in order to heal. Yeah, but it depends on how ready that person is because to really actually hear what exactly happened and the intimate details, the person might think he or she is already ready, but may not be. And then goes into a downward spiral. And if there's no external support, that person might go into depression or not be able to handle the depth of the revelation.
Okay, let me backtrack a bit to clarify. I need some clarification here. Yeah. So you meant that the person that was being hurt, to find out the details of what actually happened.
Yeah.
why would this is why would you want to do that? Or because the person already know that the trust is broken, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So your advice is that, okay, to get a third party in, so that she can be supported whether or not she can, when she listens to all these details, whether she's ready or not. If not, she has someone to be supporting her.
Meaning the both of them, because this is a real scenario where someone actually asked and said that my partner is asking for the details of what exactly happened, everything. So should I let the person know or not? Yes, you know what I'm saying? So can you imagine, I might think I'm ready for it or ready to accept it, but the details is like the hurt being, again, this time very explicitly shared. So it might be good if both of them are already, let's say, attending counseling together. Then the third party might be able to better help navigate this process.
Right. I mean, there are different ways of handling this situation. For me, I would rather look at it more objectively. As in like be in a team with the partner and look at the issue as the third party, the problem as the third party, and then together uncover what went wrong, what could have done better. Rather than digging into the details.
And
I would advise the person who wants the details to not to be focusing on the details, but focus on what went wrong and what could have been done better, so that this same thing will not happen again.
That I agree with you would be the healthiest way to ensure that it's just a roadblock and not the end. But sometimes, like we mentioned before, the both parties need to come to the common consensus that, okay, we want to work through this. This is something that has happened. The person who has broken trust would take steps, right? Like apologize, be sincere about it, and then move on from there, right? Like you were saying. But sometimes, unfortunately, when one party is more willing than the other to salvage it, then it might not be as easy, because if the person doesn't see it as a fault or his or her and is not taking steps to mend it, then that's when you have a more tricky situation of building back that trust. Then that kind of situation, I think it is okay to reach out for help if you need support.
I think for the third party to come in, it's more to help in helping to give another perspective,
objective
perspective of like what went wrong. If the couple couldn't see what went wrong, the third party would be a helpful support to help them to gain that awareness of, because it could be a blind spot, you see. So that actually went wrong. That's where it went wrong. That's where, that's where things start to go down the slope. So because the couple may not be able to see it, so a third party with a different perspective, objectively, would be helpful. So, but I think first thing first, again, go back to the couple themselves must want to look at the issue objectively and not to like point finger, So be a team. Be a team and see the problem as the third party, the issue. And then look at it from the outside and see what went wrong and how you can make it better. Instead of like going back into like the details and all that stuff, it already happened.
That's right. And also, in order for it to work, if you're on the receiving end, the other step that you take, if both of you are serious about mending it, is to be able to forgive. And I think I mentioned this before in previous, why people find it very difficult to forgive, because they think forgiveness equates to forgetting the incident. No, it doesn't, okay? But forgiveness just means you don't dwell on it anymore and you move forward, right? So forgiveness and to move forward is the step that you take, and that's why it's a give and take, and it's very much like a two-person effort.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a friend here. Hi, Anita.
Hi, Anita.
Yeah, she says, thank you for the very detailed information.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I think we
Okay.
touched quite a bit on trust. So like I said, trust is you really do need to guard and protect it. Don't wait for things to happen in a relationship, to take it for granted. And then, prevention is always better than cure. So make sure that the trust level is high, is maintained at a healthy level in your relationship. And there are many ways
Yeah.
to keep that healthy. So, in the book, I have eight steps.
Right.
Like for example, just one or two, be open with your feelings, being willing to be vulnerable to the other person. Actually, all these are reflections of the trust level in your relationship. If you are in a very fulfilling and a relationship that you totally trust the other person, certain things would manifest. It's just obvious. For example, you will find yourself being very comfortable with the other person. You won't need to be hiding feelings or sharing half truths. You will find yourself being able to respect the other person's boundaries and the other person's respecting you as well, because there's trust.
Yeah.
You have the belief that the person will still love you and embrace you even when he or she knows your weakness.
Right.
And that's how you know that trust is there.
Yes. So, I mean, trust is a very big topic. So, if you want to find out more and all the steps that, Jucelyn has listed down in her book, go to jucelynong.com, right, and pre-order her book, and you'll get to read all about that, the step-by-step practical steps that she has provided in her book to help you manage trust, learn all about trust, and if the relationship is broken, what happens, what can you do about it, right? And if you are the receiving end, how you respond to that. Yeah, so all that you can find out. And so click on the link, jucelynong.com. Okay, so thank you very much, Jucelyn, once again.
You're welcome.
For setting aside the time for this lunchtime chat. And thanks, Anita, for, joining us. Right, so we'll see you again next Tuesday. Same time, same channel, right?